Once upon a time, in a grand and majestic kingdom, nestled between towering mountains and glittering rivers, there was a wise and benevolent king named Alaric. His kingdom, Solaria, was renowned for its peace and prosperity. Merchants from faraway lands journeyed to trade within its borders, and travelers spoke of Solaria's beauty with reverence. But despite King Alaric's fame as a just and wise ruler, he carried a great concern in his heart, one that not even his closest advisors could help with. He had 3 daughters, Princess Amara, Princess Brila, and Princess Cassandra. All of them were lovely in their own ways, but they shared a reputation for foolishness, though each in her own peculiar manner. Amara, the eldest, was famed for her beauty, but beauty was all she cared about. She would spend hours gazing into mirrors, preening and admiring herself, convinced that her beauty was enough to solve all of life's problems. She believed that her appearance alone would command respect and admiration, and that others would gladly do her bidding because of it. Brila, the second daughter, was the kindest soul one could meet. She had a heart of gold and believed that everyone in the world was as honest and good as she was. While her kindness brought warmth to those around her, her naivety often left her vulnerable. She trusted easily and saw the world through rose-colored glasses, which sometimes blinded her to harsh realities. Cassandra, the youngest, was rebellious and sharp-tongued. She prided herself on her independence and loathed rules of any kind. To her, wisdom came from doing the opposite of what others suggested. She believed that by constantly challenging authority, she was proving her intelligence. In truth, her defiance often led her to rash decisions and unnecessary conflict. Though the king adored his daughters, he worried deeply about their future, for one day they would each have to rule in some capacity. He often tried to teach them the values of wisdom, leadership, and humility, but his efforts seemed to fall on deaf ears. The princesses dismissed his advice, confident in their own flawed beliefs. One autumn day, as the trees in the palace gardens turned golden and the air carried the crisp scent of change, King Alaric summoned his daughters to the grand hall. They gathered before him, still convinced of their infallibility. "My beloved daughters," the king began, his voice both gentle and firm, "the time has come for you to prove that you are ready to take on responsibilities beyond these palace walls. Each of you must face a challenge, one that will test not your beauty, your kindness, or your independence, but your wisdom. Only through this will you show that you are fit to rule." The princesses exchanged confident glances. To them, this seemed like an opportunity to prove their superiority. They each believed they would easily succeed. The king rose from his throne and approached Amara, the eldest. "Amara, your beauty is known throughout the kingdom, but wisdom cannot be found in appearances alone. I will send you to a distant village where the people have been struggling without fresh water for months. You will oversee the digging of a new well. If you can bring water to the village, you will have proven your ability to lead with actions, not just beauty." Amara tilted her head, a smile playing on her lips. "Father, this will be easy. The villagers will surely do as I say the moment they see me. After all, who can refuse a royal command?" King Alaric said nothing more, knowing time would be her true teacher. He then turned to Brila. "My dear Brila, your heart is kind, but wisdom requires more than just good intentions. I will send you to the neighboring kingdom, where the king is known for his cunning. Your task is to secure a fair trade agreement between our two lands. But beware, people are not always as they seem, and kindness alone may not protect you from deceit." Brila clasped her hands together, her eyes shining. "I believe in the goodness of others, Father. I am sure that if I approach the king with warmth and honesty, he will do the same. Finally, the king faced Cassandra, the youngest. Cassandra, your strength lies in your independence, but wisdom also means knowing when to accept help. I will send you to the edge of our kingdom, to the Darkwood Forest, where a dangerous beast has been terrorizing the nearby village. The people are too frightened to venture into the forest, but your task is to find a way to rid the land of the beast and bring peace to the village. However, you must work with the villagers and listen to their advice, for they know the land better than anyone. Cassandra scoffed, crossing her arms. Father, I don't need anyone's advice to handle this. I'll take care of the beast on my own and prove that I don't need to follow anyone's rules. With the challenges set, the three princesses departed from the palace, each eager to prove her worth in her own way. Amara arrived at the distant village in the countryside, her royal carriage causing a stir among the humble villagers. She stepped out, her golden hair shimmering in the sunlight, her gown of silk trailing elegantly behind her. The villagers gathered around, curious but cautious. I am your princess, Amara, she announced, lifting her chin proudly. I have come to help you dig a new well. You may begin immediately. The villagers looked at one another in confusion. One of the village elders, a wrinkled old man with kind eyes, stepped forward. Princess, we are honored by your presence, but the well has been difficult to dig. The land here is rocky, and we need tools and guidance. Amara waved her hand dismissively. That is for you to figure out. My presence alone should inspire you. After all, I am here to oversee the task. Days passed, and the villagers tried their best to dig the well, but without proper tools and direction, their efforts were futile. Amara did nothing but stand by, occasionally admiring her reflection in the village pond, convinced that her beauty was enough to keep morale high. Soon, the villagers grew frustrated. They stopped working altogether, and the well remained unfinished. Amara, realizing that the task was far more complicated than she had imagined, returned to the palace in defeat. I have failed, father, she confessed, her pride crumbling. I thought beauty alone would lead them, but I was wrong. King Alaric smiled gently. Leadership is about guiding others, my daughter, not just standing above them. Beauty fades, but wisdom endures. Meanwhile, Briella had traveled to the neighboring kingdom, where she was welcomed by the cunning King Marlowe. The neighboring king was known for his silver tongue and his ability to twist words to his advantage, but Briella, ever trusting, believed in his outward charm. At the grand banquet held in her honor, King Marlowe flattered her endlessly. Princess Briella, he said with a sly smile, your reputation for kindness precedes you. Surely, you understand that we need not complicate things with contracts and terms. Let us agree on a trade based on trust and goodwill. Briella, flattered by his words and eager to believe in the goodness of others, readily agreed. She signed a trade agreement without carefully reading the fine print, trusting that King Marlowe's word was as pure as her own. When she returned to Solaria, proud of her accomplishment, her father read the agreement with a furrowed brow. Briella, he said gently, this agreement gives everything to King Marlowe's kingdom and leaves ours with nothing. You were deceived by his charm. Briella's eyes filled with tears. I thought kindness and trust were enough to ensure fairness, father. Kindness is a virtue, the king said, but wisdom requires that we see the truth, even when it is hidden behind a veil of sweet words. Never trust blindly, my dear. Trust must be earned, not simply given. Cassandra, full of defiance and confidence, had reached the Darkwood Forest. The villagers there were terrified of the beast that had been attacking their livestock and homes. Cassandra, dismissing their fear, decided to venture into the forest alone. She was determined to prove that she didn't need anyone's help. Armed with nothing but her sword and her arrogance, she ventured deep into the woods. It wasn't long before she encountered the beast, a massive, fearsome creature with glowing eyes and sharp claws. Cassandra charged at it without a plan, certain that her bravery would carry her through. But the beast was faster and stronger than she had imagined. It knocked her to the ground, and she barely escaped with her life, fleeing back to the village in shame, realizing that she had underestimated the challenge. Cassandra finally swallowed her pride and approached the village elder for advice. The elder, a wise woman with a deep understanding of the forest, explained that the beast was not a mindless monster, but a guardian of the forest that had been disturbed by the villagers' actions. The beast is angry because we have encroached on its territory, the elder explained. If we can make peace with it, perhaps it will leave us in peace. With the elder's guidance, Cassandra led the villagers in a peaceful offering to the beast, placing food and herbs at the edge of the forest. Over time, the beast's attacks ceased, and the villagers were able to live in harmony with the creature. When Cassandra returned to the palace, she was no longer the arrogant, rebellious princess who believed she could do everything on her own. Instead, she was humbled by her experience. "I was wrong, father," Cassandra admitted. "I thought wisdom came from rejecting advice and doing everything my way, but I learned that sometimes true strength lies in listening to others and working together." The villagers and the elder knew more than I did, and it was only by their guidance that I was able to bring peace to the forest. King Alaric nodded, a warm smile crossing his face. "You have learned an important lesson, my dear Cassandra. Wisdom does not mean defying everyone. It means knowing when to seek counsel and when to trust the knowledge of those who have more experience." The three princesses stood before their father, each having faced their challenge and returned wiser than when they had left. Amara had learned that beauty alone could not inspire leadership. Brila had realized that kindness needed to be balanced with caution, and Cassandra had understood the importance of humility and cooperation. King Alaric rose from his throne, his heart filled with both pride and relief. "My beloved daughters," he said, his voice full of warmth, "you have each faced your challenges and learned valuable lessons about what it truly means to lead. It is not through beauty, nor blind trust, nor defiance that wisdom is gained, but through experience, humility, and the understanding that true strength comes from learning and growing." The princesses, now wiser, bowed before their father. They realized that their father's lessons had always been rooted in love, and that true wisdom wasn't something that could be grasped through arrogance, vanity, or naivety. It had to be earned through trial and error. From that day forward, the princesses continued to grow in wisdom. Amara spent more time listening to the people in her father's court and learning about the needs of the kingdom, rather than focusing solely on her appearance. Brila, while still the kind-hearted soul she had always been, learned to question others' intentions and read contracts with a more discerning eye. Cassandra, the once rebellious princess, learned to balance her independence with the wisdom of seeking advice when necessary. As time passed, the people of Solaria began to speak not just of the kingdom's prosperity, but of its three wise princesses who had grown into strong, just leaders. They ruled with compassion, fairness, and a deep understanding of what it truly meant to lead. And when the time came for King Alaric to pass the crown, he knew that his kingdom would be in good hands. His daughters, who had once been known as the foolish princesses, had become the pride of Solaria, proof that even the most foolish can become wise through the lessons life offers, as long as they are willing to learn. And so, the kingdom of Solaria continued to flourish, ruled by three wise queens who guided their people with hearts full of love and minds filled with wisdom, and they all lived happily ever after.